Mastering implicit bias. Implicit bias secretly sabotages our daily decisions and pursuits of excellence. Why do we currently understand implicit bias to exist within our organization, and how does its presence impact the pursuit of operational excellence in our daily activities and decision-making processes? The pursuit of operational excellence. It's a lofty goal, one that I've dedicated my career to helping organizations achieve. But, let me tell you, it's not just about streamlining processes and maximizing efficiency. It's about creating an environment where every single person can thrive, no matter their background, race, or gender. I recall working with a manufacturing plant in the Midwest, where the goal was to reduce production errors by 30%. Sounds straightforward, right? But, as we dug deeper, we discovered that the real challenge lay not in the machinery or the production line, but in the minds of the people running it. You see, the team leaders, all well-intentioned individuals, were unintentionally favoring certain employees over others, simply because they looked or sounded like them. It was a classic case of implicit bias, and it was stalling progress towards operational excellence. These biases, often formed through years of cultural and social conditioning, can be incredibly difficult to recognize, let alone overcome. But, as I always say, the first step to change is acknowledging the problem. So, we set out to raise awareness about implicit bias within the organization. We organized workshops, where employees were given scenarios and asked to make decisions, unaware that they were being tested for bias. The results were eye-opening, to say the least. It was like a collective aha moment, as people realized that they, too, were guilty of making assumptions based on stereotypes. But awareness is only half the battle. The real challenge lies in changing behavior. That's why we implemented a mentorship program, where employees from diverse backgrounds were paired with team leaders. The goal was to create a sense of empathy and understanding, to help leaders see things from different perspectives. And, let me tell you, it worked wonders. Production errors started to decrease, and the workplace became a more inclusive, more collaborative environment. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's all well and good, but how do I apply this to my own organization? Well, here's the thing. Operational excellence is not a one-time achievement, it's a continuous process. It requires a commitment to self-improvement, to recognizing and overcoming our own biases. So, here are some practical steps you can take. Start by acknowledging that implicit bias exists, and that it's a problem worth solving. Encourage open and honest conversations within your organization, creating a safe space for employees to share their concerns and experiences. Implement training programs that focus on empathy and understanding, helping employees to recognize and challenge their own biases. Mentorship programs, like the one we implemented, can be incredibly effective in creating a more inclusive environment. Finally, lead by example. As leaders, we must recognize our own biases and be willing to make changes, even if it's uncomfortable. I'll be honest with you, it's not an easy process. It takes courage, determination, and a willingness to confront our own shortcomings. But the payoff is well worth it. A workplace where everyone has an equal opportunity to thrive, and operational excellence becomes a natural byproduct. As I always say, the biggest risk is not taking any risk. So, take the first step today, and start building an organization that truly values diversity, equity, and inclusion. Your pursuit of operational excellence depends on it. Implicit bias refers to the unconscious attitudes or stereotypes that affect our understanding, actions, and decisions, often resulting in unintended discrimination or inequity towards certain groups. In the context of operational excellence, implicit bias can significantly impact an organization's ability to achieve its goals and pursue excellence. To effectively address implicit bias, it is essential to first recognize its existence within the organization. This can be achieved by conducting self-assessments, collecting and analyzing data on decision-making processes, and gathering feedback from employees and customers. Self-assessments can help identify areas where bias may be present, such as hiring, promotion, and performance evaluations. Data analysis can reveal patterns of bias in decision-making, while feedback from employees and customers can provide valuable insights into their experiences with bias. Once the existence of implicit bias is acknowledged, it is crucial to identify the ways in which it impacts operational excellence. Bias can influence decision-making in various ways, including the formation of opinions, the interpretation of data, and the selection of solutions. For example, biased decision-makers may prioritize certain solutions over others based on stereotypes or assumptions, rather than objective facts. This can lead to suboptimal decisions that compromise operational excellence. Additionally, bias can affect the way employees are treated, with biased managers or colleagues making assumptions about an individual's abilities or potential based on their race, gender, or other characteristics. This can lead to a lack of opportunities, unequal distribution of resources, and a poor work environment, all of which can negatively impact operational excellence. To mitigate the impact of implicit bias on operational excellence, organizations can implement various strategies. One approach is to establish diverse and inclusive teams that bring together individuals with different backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives. This can help to counterbalance biases and ensure that decisions are made based on objective criteria rather than stereotypes or assumptions. Another strategy is to implement blind hiring practices, where identifying information such as names and backgrounds is removed from resumes to minimize bias in the hiring process. Regular training and education on implicit bias can also help employees recognize and overcome their biases, leading to more equitable decision-making and a more inclusive work environment. Further, organizations can develop and implement safeguards to prevent bias from creeping into decision-making processes. For instance, decision-making frameworks and scorecards can be created to evaluate options based on objective criteria, reducing the influence of bias. Additionally, organizations can establish independent review processes to assess decisions and identify potential biases. This can help to ensure that decisions are fair, equitable, and aligned with the organization's goals and values. Another critical aspect of addressing implicit bias is creating a culture of accountability and transparency. Leaders and managers must model behaviors that promote fairness, equity, and inclusion, and employees must feel empowered to speak up when they encounter bias or discrimination. Organizations can establish clear policies and procedures for reporting and addressing bias, and ensure that incidents are investigated and addressed promptly and fairly. Lastly, organizations can leverage technology to reduce bias in decision-making processes. For example, AI-powered tools can help to identify and mitigate bias in hiring, performance evaluations, and other areas. These tools can analyze large datasets to identify patterns of bias and provide recommendations for more equitable decision-making. In conclusion, implicit bias is a pervasive issue that can significantly impact an organization's pursuit of operational excellence. By recognizing its existence, understanding its impact, and implementing strategies to mitigate its effects, organizations can promote fairness, equity, and inclusion, ultimately leading to better decision-making, improved employee engagement, and enhanced operational excellence.